Hi, and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel, and I have a very exciting video for you today. We are going to discover 12 color block sweater knitting patterns. These are not going to be your everyday pattern roundup video. We are going to look at color palettes as well as inspiration photos, and we're going to tie it all together with some AI mock-up photos. I'm really excited to share with you some of these ideas. Sometimes it helps to look for inspiration outside of the knitting world and maybe in photographs or outfits. So I'm really excited to share these with you. Before we get into the patterns, I wanted to share with you a question that I get all the time. Where do you get your jewelry? I am wearing the Luisa jewelry. I really love wearing this with knitwear because it has such a beautiful shine to it and it really stands out when I'm wearing knitwear. Sometimes if you have a busy pattern, it's hard to find jewelry that'll kind of like stand up on its own and shine, but also not detract from all of your hard work. I really love these earrings. They're called the Wesley earrings. They're a gold hoop with a silver puff heart charm. The charm actually can slip off, so if you wanted to just wear the gold hoop, you could. I also am currently wearing their Pernille bracelet. This is a new bracelet to me, and I'm really pleased with it. It has such a beautiful quality. I like that it has both a silver and a gold side because sometimes you're wearing knitwear that's more of a warm tone. You're gonna wanna wear the gold side, but if you have knitwear that's silver or a cooler tone, you're gonna wanna wear the silver side. It also has such a nice clasp. It's really strong, but not only that, you can actually get it off one-handed. I hate to have to try to find somebody to unclasp my bracelet or clasp it for me, and this is so easy. I'm currently also wearing the pebble necklace. It really is a showstopper on its own or layered. I really think all of their pieces work so nicely together and they just elevate your knitwear. I would keep in mind when looking through their website, they have gold jewelry, silver jewelry, some with diamonds, some with solid gold. When you're looking to style it with your knits, I would suggest the gold for any of your warmer knits and the silver tones for your cooler knits. I think that always looks so nice, but you know what? Do it however you want because your style is your own and you should always choose things that really bring you so much joy. And their jewelry does that for me. Right now, they have a sale that is up to 30% off site-wide, and if you spend $130, then they will add a piece of jewelry. I highly encourage you to check out their best sellers. For Black Friday, these sell so quickly, so do not hesitate. If you see something you like, grab it because it may not be there, and I don't want you guys to miss out. The link is in the description box below, and the QR code on screen will also take you to shop their sale and check out some of my favorites. Okay, let's get into the knitting. All right, so let's get started with our patterns. Just so you guys know, these are all size inclusive and they're in no particular order. The first pattern is the Kerti sweater. This is a pattern by Orlane Sucche, and it is a sport weight pattern. The gauge is 21 stitches. It has a main color and then two contrasting colors. The contrasting colors, at least in the kind of main pattern photo, I would say are low contrast to each other, but higher contrast to the main color. This is a circular yoke sweater. It is knit top down, and I always think this style of sweater is great for a beginner in color work because you have, if you look at the design, there's not too many like large patterns, so you'll have very short floats, and a circle yoke sweater is very easy to do your increases in, and it's just very beginner friendly. You can also try it on as you go, so it has that kind of bonus as well. So as for the colorwork itself, I think that you could use more than just the two colorwork colors if you wanted. You could probably play around with it. There's kind of different sections of the yoke, so you could even consider doing a few different colors. So with the Kerti sweater, I really enjoyed this outfit that I saw on Pinterest. I really liked the navy blue and the kind of rust color combo. I thought it would be pretty in this particular sweater. I do want to point out though, if you look at the photo, the pants are, like take up quite a bit more, visual space. And so I really kind of wanted to flip that. I wanted to see what it would look like with a navy kind of taking up the space and the kind of supporting color being this rust color. And the AI photo that it came up with isn't quite perfect in terms of the actual patterning of the sweater, but it kind of just gives you the idea of what I was thinking. I really like how it turned out. I think it's a very elegant color, and it did make a mistake, but I don't hate it. So if you look, it has that dark red in there, which is in a kind of weird place. I think in the main pattern that would have been just navy. But again, you could play with it in this way of, you know, adding a couple more colors. This one has three contrasting colors instead of the two. But I really do actually like this idea, and I think it just kind of makes your creativity open to new possibilities. The next sweater on our list is Little Crystals. This is by Celine Feyten. I really like her designs. They're very well thought out. She really does a great job in the instructions and makes you feel really empowered to make modifications. And this one is no exception. I really liked the two color work, but you could add another color, and in fact some of her testers did do that. It is a worsted weight sweater. The gauge is 21 stitches. This is knit top down. However, it is a drop sleeve sweater, and you knit a little bit of the front and the back. So you are doing some flat colorwork knitting. So for this reason alone, I would say it's probably not suited for a beginner, because you do, while it isn't a difficult skill to tackle, instead of reading the chart right to left, when you do a flat colorwork and you're on the wrong side, you read it left to right. And instead of knitting, you do purling. So it's not complicated, but it's just something to keep in mind. You also want to really pay attention to those floats because you don't want them to get too tight. I thought this sweater would look amazing, and I actually used this picture of a woman that I thought, if I made her a holiday sweater or a winter sweater, what would it look like? And so this is what I came up with. I would definitely have a black main color, and then I thought it could be cool if the upper shoulder area had a darker gray, and then it went to a mid-gray tone, and even maybe went to a lighter tone in the colorwork as it went down the sweater, or you could just keep it the gray. I think that would be nice. But I thought it kind of gives this sweater a little bit of edge, and I thought that could be really fun. You could also probably add a little sequins in the snowflakes if you wanted, or forego that. But I thought it was just kind of a fun idea. Okay, next up is Tuku by Saskie Co. And this is a DK weight sweater. The gauge is 22 stitches. It has one main color and one contrasting color, but I think you could go up to maybe 3 contrasting colors depending on how you wanted to play with it. It is a circular yoke sweater. It's knit in the round, top down. And she also gives, which I think is really clever, and she does this for a lot of her designs, where she gives a cropped sweater yarn amount and a regular length sweater yarn amount. So you can customize it in that way. For the inspiration photo here, I was really inspired by this picture of, I'm guessing it's like Utah rocks, or it's like a beautiful like rock photo, and it has like an ice, I would say lavender, mauve, a plum, and a terracotta color. And I thought that was like a nice jumping off point. I really liked those colors together. And so the AI mock-up used more of like I guess we kind of went a darker terracotta and then kind of a sand color. But it just gives you an idea of what this color work would look like if you did dark color work instead of the light color work as the pattern had suggested. Next up is the Iris sweater. This is by Trin-Annelie. This is a light fingering weight sweater. The gauge is 28.5 stitches, a very tight gauge, a very thin yarn. This is a drop shoulder sweater. It is knit top down with steeks. Of all the patterns in this roundup, if you will, this is the, I would say, most complicated, but has such a big impact. I did not want to leave it out. So if you're looking for a challenge, I think this sweater would be for you. I really like the color work that they did. I like the colors they used, but I thought, let's play with it. So this sweater also is designed to be kind of oversized and have drop sleeves. There is one main color and 6 contrasting colors. I think you could use less contrasting colors if you wanted. You could, like, for example, for the like flower section, you could in fact just use like a color changing yarn, so you're not needing as many colors if you wanted. But I really think this has such a big impact. So for this one, the inspiration photo that I used was of this cute outfit. I really liked the funkiness of the green sweater with the blush pink, and I thought that was like a fun jumping off point. And then it didn't quite translate when I tried to get ChatGPT to do this, but I thought a dark background. So I do like the black neckline, but behind the flowers, it actually added like a dark green, which I don't hate. So just to give it like another go over, I probably would have made the flowers slightly more pink, you know, and played with it around with it a little bit. But I do like that you can see the other design along with the flowers in this version. So I think it's just something to think about. Next up is the Bloom Pullover. This is by Brianna Mason. And I thought this one was really fun. I think you could do a lot of different things with this sweater. It's a worsted weight sweater with a gauge of 16 stitches. And this sweater is worked top down in the round. It's written with one main color and one contrasting color. But again, I think that you could get really creative with it and, you know, mess with the color work a little bit. I do think it could be also very pretty in a color changing yarn. The inspiration photo that I used was of this woman with kind of a monochromatic outfit. I really liked the blush and the like mahogany rich burgundy color pant. I thought that was really, really fun. And so for this one, I created this AI image of the Bloom sweater in this combination. So it has the kind of rich burgundy on the bottom and then more of a blush pink on the top. And I really, really liked this combination. Again, I think there's room for more colors, or to, you know, you could make it even a little less contrasty and make the pink a little bit darker, more of a dusty rose, I think would be pretty. But all in all, I really liked this color combination quite a bit. Next up, we have the Ceallaigh or Calamondin sweater. I'm not sure how that one is pronounced. It's by Johanna Gehrisch, and I really like this one. This is a worsted weight sweater. The gauge is 15 stitches, so you have a really nice big gauge. It's written for a main color and 2 contrasting colors. It's an oversized fit with saddle shoulders and raglan increases, and the design uses like a main color and then 2 contrasting colors, with one of the contrasting colors also being a vertical stripe, which is created using a crochet technique, and that's after the sweater is done. I really, really liked this sweater a lot. I like how it is as is, but you know, let's play with the color. So I thought that this picture from, I believe it's from a Dior runway, and I think that it's fairly recent. I'm not 100% sure on that. But looking at the photo, looking at the skirt specifically, I liked the navy blue, olive, and burgundy color again together. And so I kind of used those colors in this photo to influence this AI mock-up. So it's, again, not perfect. This would have a little bit different cadence in the stripes. It's kind of missing the in-between, like the burgundy stripes are thicker than in the pattern, but just gives you visually what it could look like. I really like this a lot. I think this would be stunning. I also think that if you didn't want so many colors, you could do the olive, the navy, and a cream. That would be pretty. Or substitute out the olive and do a cream, blue, and white for a very stunning sweater. Next up is the Calamondin sweater. This is by Audrey Borrego, and it is a free pattern. So I wanted to highlight this. Free patterns are always amazing. This sweater is knit using a fingering weight yarn. It has a gauge of 26 stitches. and it is knit top down with raglan increases and has a simple, I would say whimsical color work. They're kind of like, remind me of bubbles or circles. I think it's really cute. It calls for just a main color and one contrasting color, but again, I think that you could play with it and have as many colors as you wanted. So let's look at that. Because it just felt very whimsical, I looked at pictures of tiles and things, and also quilts I thought would be interesting, because when you're using different colors and you're quilting, you don't always concern yourself with the overall quilt. Sometimes you only concern yourself with like what colors are touching each other, like what's next. So I really liked that idea, and I think you could make a very multicolored sweater kind of using that principle. So the mock-up photo that happened was this one. It's not perfect, but it does show you a couple of options. It has a gold, it has some blue, some red, and random white in there, which I don't love on a black background. I do like the dark background quite a bit, and I do think there's room to play with maybe not just the solid bubble stripes, like being just red. You could change it up and maybe have a couple of the bubbles a different color, and maybe the outside border and the inside color and the outside border are all one color, and then the other two bubbles rows are something different. I think could be pretty, but it's just, again, to give you some inspiration. So next up we have the Facet sweater. This is a pattern by Knit, and it is a DK weight sweater. The gauge is 22 stitches. It's an all over colorwork sweater. It's knit top down using raglan shaping, and I feel this could be knit in so many different ways. It uses a main color and two contrasting colors, and I believe you could really play with it and add more colors if you'd like. You could definitely maybe make a stripe pattern within the stripe pattern. You could use, a different color for each motif. I really think there's room to play here. I used this photo for my like jumping off inspiration. I thought it would be really stunning to have a black main color and then a pink and red motif. When I tried to create this, it did not work, but I don't hate what happened. So instead of the pink should have been black, but I don't hate the black and red combo for the kind of contrast colors, if you will, with the pink. But having the contrast, the black contrast for the neckband and hem and ribbing, I think is stunning. So I do like that a lot, and I think that could be very cool. Next up, we have the Fireside jumper. This is again by Saskie Co. I really like her sweater patterns. I think she does a great job with very accessible, easy to understand patterns. This is a DK weight sweater. It is knit top down in the round. The gauge is 24 stitches, and it has a, beautiful round yoke again, which I think is very beginner friendly. Again, the pattern offers yardage for both a crop sweater and a long sweater. I feel like it could be knit in so many different ways. It uses one main color and two contrasting colors. And again, I think you could play with this and make it really your own. So the inspiration photo that I was looking at was of this runway photo with like dark camel and black color. I thought was really nice. And then it also has kind of a rust color, but I don't think this translated into the AI mock-up, but it just gives you an idea of kind of what I was thinking. And then the mock-up, again, not perfect, but it does show the colorwork in a darker color, but it has the white in there. And I kind of like that little bit of a different color. I think is kind of nice. So I don't hate it. I don't even know if this is totally how the colorwork looks in quote unquote real life, but it just gives you, again, an idea of what it could be. So you could switch out and do a darker colorwork with the kind of camel color that is similar to the original. Next up, we have the Brigid sweater. This is by Meghan Haughton. It's a worsted weight sweater. The gauge is 20 stitches. It's a drop shoulder design. It's knit top down. And I think that there are a lot of possibilities with colorwork here. The pattern calls for a main color and 4 contrasting colors. Now, I do like this one. I think it would be very fun to knit because you do have like the pattern and then a stockinette break, pattern and a stockinette break. And those are always like nice to be able to knit. I did 2 things here. So the inspiration photo that I used is this teal and red. This was like a magazine cover, and I really thought it was nice. I didn't know, I thought maybe a navy and teal and red, or a light and dark teal, and the mock-up turned out really nice, I thought. It does, to me, lean a little Christmassy feeling, which I thought, not everyone's into that, so let's look at it again. So then I went for a different inspiration photo and decided to do this like vintage looking outfit. I liked the kind of marigold and the different reds and a pop of turquoise I thought was really nice. And so if you check out the next photo, you'll see how it kind of translates. And I really thought this gave it a very vintage vibe, and it took out that kind of, to me, Christmas feeling aspect and made it a little bit more vintage feeling. So even just swapping out one color can really make a huge difference in how your, beautiful sweater comes across. And it may or may not make it more or less wearable throughout the entire year, depending on how you feel about that. The next sweater is the Martha sweater. This is by Pernille Larsen. It is an Aran weight sweater. The gauge is 15 stitches. It's a round yoke sweater, and it top down. It has a very simple yet striking motif, and it does look like a deeper yoke, so you might want to keep that in mind if that is not your vibe. This sweater is knit with a main color and 2 contrasting colors, but again, I think you could play around with your colors, maybe add a few more. The color inspiration that I thought of, or I found when looking at this, was for this beautiful, again, runway image. I liked the dusty lavender with the neon yellow and a mustard yellow. I thought that was a cool combination. And I really wanted to keep the mustard yellow and the neon yellow as the contrasting colors and have more of a dusty purpley color for the main color. The AI mock-up here is this, and I think it turned out okay. I think it could be better, obviously, but this just gives you an idea, again, of how it may look when you're done. I do really like the neon, and I love this color combination. It wouldn't have been one, had I not seen that photo, that I would have ever probably thought to put together. So I do think finding inspiration on Pinterest or in other places outside of knitting can always really lead to cool color combinations. The next sweater is the Islet Stripe sweater by Ronja Hakalehto. This is a DK weight sweater. It is a gauge of 19 stitches. This is top down raglan sweater with stranded colorwork and stripes. So again, this one, you get a little bit of a break between the colorwork stripes, which I think is so nice. It is a raglan construction, and the pattern calls for 1 main color and 2 contrasting colors. Again, you can play with it. Like, instead of the lighter color in the stripe, you could maybe have 3 contrasting colors, for example. For the inspiration photo here, I thought that this Fendi image was really amazing. I like the maroon and coral and turquoise, and so I originally thought, yeah, let's go for that. And this is where you really got to think on the amount of color you're going to be showing. So if you look at this, there's burgundy, a good chunk of burgundy, a good chunk of coral, and a little peep of that turquoise. And I at first did this, I would say, incorrectly. So it turned out, a lot of turquoise, a little bit of coral, and a little bit of burgundy, and I did not like it. It really feels very different than that photo. So I kind of went back to the drawing board here and tried one more time, and I do like this version a little bit better. Again, you could probably still play with it because the coral is a little bit more predominant, but it just gives you an idea of how changing one color around or replacing it or changing it in where it appears in the sweater can really do a lot. So these are the 12 sweaters. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this type of video. If you did, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, and one last tip, if you're browsing the Ana Luisa sale, you can actually make a wish list and just screenshot it to your family. Seriously, it makes gift shopping so much easier for them. Their biggest sale of the year is happening now, up to 30% off site-wide, and a free piece of jewelry when you spend $130. Again, check out the QR code or the link in the description below to see all of my favorites. If we're not yet knitting besties, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and please like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until next time, make some yarn magic. Bye!